DIY spring decor can add such a touch of happiness and freshness to your home. I created this piece using a Dollar Tree tin wall vase, as well as some embellishments from the Tim Holtz line and other Dollar Tree craft supplies. I was inspired by a piece created by Zoe Hillman, who is a maker for Tim Holtz brands, and you can find her on Instagram at iGirlZoe. So the label on this Dollar Tree wall vase was a bit tricky to remove. I saturated the label with Goo Gone several times, and I ended up using a scraper to remove most of the label, and then going back over it with some more Goo Gone, as well as cleaning it up with some spray cleaner. Now that it's all shiny and clean, I wanted to put a white base coat on so that the other paint that I brush on top will have something to adhere to. But unfortunately, I didn't think to sand over the surface of the metal first so that the white itself would have something to adhere to. So I ended up going over to the garbage can with sandpaper and sanding all the white off that I had just painted on. And then I did sand the whole piece again to kind of rough it up so that the paint adhered better. And I did end up using 2 coats of the white paint. Now the fun part was trying to figure out how to create a fake patina so that this piece could have the look of an antique or a time-worn piece, which can add character and uniqueness. So I gathered the different shades of green paints that I have, as well as brown, and I just began mixing them together until I had what I thought would be the right shade of patina. I started on the back of the piece so that I could experiment with what color combinations work best, and once I had the greens applied, I did end up going over some of the spots with brown to start creating the appearance of rust. After I dried the paint, I went over the brown paint with Mod Podge and then sprinkled cinnamon over the Mod Podge so that it would stick on. I then tapped off the excess cinnamon on a piece of paper so that I could use it again. I applied another light coat of Mod Podge over the cinnamon and dried it with the heat gun. And as I'm drying it, you can see that it's getting darker and starting to look very rusty. So I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. So I'm going to flip the piece over and do the same process to the front and the sides. As you can probably see, I'm not exactly painting it on, but kind of dappling the paint on so that it gives the piece a textured look. I'm using a little different technique on the front, as after I put the cinnamon on top of the Mod Podge, I tap over that with the brown paint, and then I'll put another light coat of Mod Podge on that, and then dry it. I don't really think there's a wrong way to do this. You just kind of need to play around with it to find out what works for you to create the patina that you're looking for. And rust came out. I ordered this rabbit online from Simon Says Stamp, which I'll put in the link in the description box. And this is from Tim Holtz' Idea-ology line, and it's called Salvaged Rabbits. I glued it on a popsicle stick so that it would be easier to paint. And I ended up painting several of these. I think I had bought 4 rabbits, and I'm going to use those for other spring projects that I'm currently working on. But this one in particular, I used Craft Smart's Antique Wax, drying it with my heat gun in between coats, and I ended up using 2 coats. And to take the rabbit off when it's all dry and I'm ready to use it, I just take the heat gun and put it like under the popsicle stick and kind of loosen up that hot glue, and then I just peel it off. I'm using gold foil candy wrappers that I picked up at either Michael's or Joann's, I really don't remember. And this is a technique I learned from Tim Holtz's YouTube channel, which you'll hear me talk a lot about Tim Holtz's line of products, as I use several of them in this project and other projects that I'm working on. Plus, I just love all his products, and there are so many creative makers using his products in very unique ways. But I'm spraying alcohol inks from Tim Holtz's line on these foil candy wrappers and spreading the ink around with my alcohol ink applicator tool, and then I will dry it with the heat gun. I then cut these foil wrappers into 1-inch squares, and I believe I did about 5 or 6 different colors. Actually, it looks like I did about 10 different colors. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to put some Mod Podge on the back and fold around these tiny Tim Holtz, they're called Tim Holtz Idea-ology Tiny Eggs, and it's going to create a foil covered egg. As you can see, this is a little bit of a tedious process, but it was fun to make these foil covered eggs. You can also use the alcohol ink to directly color the eggs. You can put them in a baggie and spray the ink in there and kind of smush it around, which I did do for another project. You can also use acrylic paints, kind of doing the same thing, putting in a baggie and smushing it around and making sure they're covered pretty good, and then go ahead and let them dry. So I'm using this piece of glass. It's from an old frame when I Mod Podge to the foil, so that my work surface stays clean. Plus it's easier to lift up the foil from the glass than it would be from my work surface. So like I said, I think I ended up wrapping about 20 of these eggs with the foil wrappers. Next, I'm using Sculpty Air Dry Clay, and my IOD mold is called Harper Alphabet Letters, to create the letters for the word spring. You want to make sure that you brush in some cornstarch into the mold before you smash the clay in, so that it's easier to release the clay. This was causing me a bit of a problem because it's sort of thin and curvy, so it took a couple of tries before I got a good release. The tool I'm using is from the Dollar Tree, and it's from Crafter's Square. It's a plastic pellet knife set. And the nice thing about these IOD molds is that they have a patented micro rim, which ensures a crisp, clean edge on your castings. So that's what the tool is used for. I just kind of pass it along and spread it down or smush it down, and then I can release it a lot easier. It took a little bit of searching, but I found inspiration on Pinterest for these carrots made from wood beads. I figured out what bead sizes I wanted to use, and then I put them in a baggie and squirted some orange paint inside to quickly paint them. I did end up going back over each one to make sure that they were fully covered with paint and that they looked smooth. And as you can see at the top of the screen there, I took a muffin tin and I put a bunch of things in there that I wanted to use for my spring projects. That way they're in front of me, they're kind of organized, and I can see what I need to work with. So I threaded some twine with a thicker needle that I had so that it would be easier to string the beads through. Plus the twine gives the carrot a more vintage and rusted look, and I ended up making 3 of these little carrots. To fill the inside of this vase, as they're calling it, I cut some old packing styrofoam that I had on hand and shoved it inside so that I could then place the embellishments that I wanted right on top of the styrofoam. I take a cotton ball and I hot glue some moss on it and place it in the barrel. Again, this is from Tim Holtz Idea-ology line. And to give it a little bit more dimension and fluffiness, I'm going to go ahead and hot glue some more of this moss on top. I didn't want the white of the styrofoam to show through, so I painted that brown, and then I glue some Spanish moss on top of that. I go ahead and I pick out a few of the foil wrapped little eggs, and I'm going to use E6000 glue and glue them on top of the moss that's in the barrel, and then I glue the barrel onto the foam. And then I decide where I want to put the rabbit, and I just use the hot glue, and I will glue that next to the barrel. I'm using some E6000 glue, and I'm going to go ahead and glue these 3 carrots together. As you can see, I took the twine and kind of unraveled it on the top, so it looks like the, I guess like the grassy part of the carrots. So yeah, here I am just gluing them together, and then I will again use E6000 and glue them onto the front of the this wall piece. I picked up a package of these wooden flower cutouts from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to go ahead and stain them with the Craft Smart Antique Wax. I then use a flower wire to create stems and leaves for the wooden flowers, and I glue them to the back of the piece. Clay letters have been drying overnight, and so now I can paint them. And I want the colors to look vintage, so I mute the colors down with a little bit of brown paint, and after I dry them, I gently rough them up a little bit with sandpaper. I glued the letters on the front next to the carrot, and I wanted to add a little more to the piece, so I used a small block to glue together 2 wheelbarrow cutouts from the Dollar Tree. I stained them with the same stain I used on the wood flowers, and then add some moss to the top. A few more embellishments that I add is the small bottle with some lavender inside, and the Tim Holtz Idea-ology Heirloom Floral Embellishments. I'm so excited about how fantastic my DIY spring decor piece turned out, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to be creative and bring my vision to life, and I look forward to making more in the future. I want to thank each and every one of you amazing YouTube followers for tuning in to another video. Your support and encouragement mean the world to me. Your likes, your comments, and your shares inspire me to keep creating and sharing new content with all of you. So thank you again for your unwavering support. You guys are the best. This is Jeannie from Makers Unify, and I hope you have a DIY day.